So, first question, the hat.
The hat, yeah.
What's the story with the hat?
So the hat was, I was like, as a kid, I was obsessed with like you know, the classic milkman deal, and then I started like looking up, you know, period correct pictures of truckers, you know, and then obviously a Nixon-era trucker was the pretty much last generation of the classic delivery uniform, which is a part of my logo as well. So I was like, if I draw the logo, I have to match the whole thing. So.
What is your attraction to like late 60s, early 70s America? Or North America, I should say.
Yeah, and if I could do if I could say every bit of that in one sentence, I would. But pretty much everything. And I know it's a really like a catch-all phrase, but like I would say late 60s, early 70s America is the last time that we saw automakers. It all comes back to cars, but automakers not pretending to be something that they're not. In the fact that foreign markets started flooding, coming over in the 60s, and it was the last generation of the cars that were authentically American. It was also the last generation of cars that overseas manufacturers mimicked to get people to buy them. So one of my favorite cars that I've ever owned, my favorite Japanese cars, I had a '69 Toyota Corona, and it was a 2-speed Toyo-matic, and so it pretty much looked like a basic American sedan, but it was tiny. I mean, the roof was right here, and it was a 4-door car, but you sit in it like this, and you have the Toyo-matic. You have low, and then everything over 5 miles an hour, but that was their answer to Americans like simplicity, but not many people bought them because the people that were looking for a Corona, they wanted the stick one, so there weren't very many of those sold. But you know, it was the last generation of a lot of things, and there was a lot of like really neat historical events and stuff like that too. Obviously, the presidency, as we all know, and all the discourse that went on with that. But yeah, yep, moon landing, technology, and I'm super into. I used to be super into collecting mainframe pieces and parts and stuff like that. So the late 60s, early 70s was the start of the reign of Data General, and Data General Corporation. The gentleman Edson de Castro, he worked for Digital Corporation, who was the head. It was IBM and Digital for American computer companies. Basically, they had beat everybody out at that time. And Edson de Castro was like, hey, I invented the 16-bit architecture, and this is like a revolutionary thing. And then the guys at Digital was like, oh, that's useless, you know, it's just a fad, no one's gonna use it. And then so he starts his own company, and by late 68, he has a fully developed system, starts Data General Corporation. He takes a bunch of people from Digital with him, and they start an empire that lasts all the way through the 70s into the mid 80s, when gosh darn it, they missed, and in the 80s, they missed the ball on the personal computer. They came out with their Data General 1 too late, and by that time, everybody had perfected what they were doing with mainframes, the people that still needed mainframes. So they kind of fell under the radar. But anyways, regardless, it was the birth of so many beautiful things too. The whole generation, and what you'll find too is that, you know, being someone in car culture, everyone says everything after 1972 is junk because Nixon and the EPA and all the cars are useless or whatever. And whatever, fine. If you want to do that, you know, it's more power to you. It's not about the power for me, more so as like the styling. I would say the last GM full size I would drive would be a '73 Impala, just because of the flowing lines, and it's all kind of a, I don't know, it's artistic.
I'm a gigantic car and I don't care.
Yeah, yep, and no apologies for anybody.
Like we didn't really see that until the bling era of hip hop in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, but early 2000s. And I know the mic's not picking me up very well.
All good.
But it's like the Lincoln Navigator, the
yes.
Ford Expedition for if you don't have the money,
yep.
The Escalade, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? We're gonna make gigantic SUVs. They're gonna get shit mileage. and you're going to buy them because you want to drive something big. You want a big American car. We haven't done this in decades.
Yeah, and that's literally it. And it was, yeah. So.
The bedding.
Oh.
In the back.
Yes.
You're bedding. Tell me about this.
So, this serves multiple purposes. As you know, being on the road, you have to take a minute or so to sleep. Usually, I'll pull 20 or 21 hours, and then by that time, I'm usually pretty dead.
21 hours.
Yes, sir. Yep. Yep. And it's okay if the money's there. Then I want to get it done as quick as possible, as safely as possible. Yeah. So, yeah, this is here just in case. But it's also a dual purpose because these are actually shipping blankets. So I started this company out as a white glove delivery company. I used to deliver furniture, and there was a lot more insurance involved in that, and that's something I don't want to deal with anymore. So I have a lot of shipping blankets left over for in case any of the commercial clients that I deal with want something covered or protected or whatnot. So I was like, yeah, I'll just keep these on hand at all times. And then
the air, or is that an air pad?
Yeah, so everything has a purpose. And the only reason that is specifically there is because we moved, after we started this company, we moved into a studio apartment. And the studio apartment was a true, like 1800 studio apartment where it was like a 150 or 200 square foot box, just one room and then a bathroom. And so we had no furniture, but there was no place for furniture because there was a Murphy bed that came down and took up the entire room. And we still live there currently, but we're moving into a new place. Anyways, I had a blow up couch. And so that was a cushion from the blow up couch. But that actually serves an important purpose for shipping because it, if there's like fragile stuff or just pallets that I don't want to touch each other, that actually goes in between things that are inside here. So. Yeah.
Your big cans. You explained them to me before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So these cans they serve a fantastic and very financial purpose. 15 gallons, I can usually fit about 16 in them, but between my fleet card and Shell rewards, BP me rewards, what's the other one? The sheets and everything like that. I combine that with the savings from the fleet card, and then I usually get gas when I'm out east, more east or more south. I got it for that can's full because I filled that in Delaware. So that was $3 gas in Delaware that I got down to like $2.15 with the savings. And so I filled both of these up, and I've already used this one. But yeah, and then there's a hand crank pump that goes with these, and basically within 2 minutes I can get this is 16 gallons all the way down, and it's great. I mean, it's perfect. I've got 2 other ones of these, so if I go out to California and I don't want to pay $6 a gallon for gas, then I'll take as much gas as possible with me out, which I learned the first time going out there. So.
In an Alex Roy way, what's your record? What's your Cannonball Run record?
Cannonball Run record? Like as far as like straight driving?
Well, like you're coast to coast. Have you ever done a New York to LA?
Yeah, so I did it. Well, it was New York to San Diego. My New York to San Diego was, oh my goodness, it was so long. It was a few months ago, but it was, I want to say 4 days. Okay. But again, I had to stop here and there, but my longest time driving was 21 hours, and I was starting that off a little bit. So I was just like, I'll pull into, I'll pull off on the side of the road. It was this was Iowa, I believe, and I pulled off, and then I slept. I must have been 30 minutes, and I heard a tick 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 from the mag light from the officer. It's like, hey, you got license and registration? I had like all my stuff and my DOT card, whatever, and he's like, oh, what are you doing over here? And I was like, oh, I just thought I'd pull off and just take a snooze real quick so I can get back on the road. He's like, well, you're actually in the middle of a farm, so we're gonna have you. I'll have you follow me to the nearest truck stop. And I was like, oh, where is that? And he's like, oh, it's just about 110 miles away. And I was like, so it was like, I mean, it's just funny because like, yeah, I'm in Iowa, and it was like 80 or something, but it's just like, I was in the middle. Where was I gonna go? Yeah. And I was only staying awake because he had his lights on in front of me. But it was funny. I learned a lot from that. But the reason that I have all these accessories is because I was without the specific thing when I needed it. So now I have all the things. So, yeah. Toolbox full of tools. So another neat one right there is that brown box I use to. So if I have certain clients that want things typed.
Is
so,
this something I can see or? Oh.
Yeah. And so when there's specific clients that want things that are not in handwriting, and so when I have an invoice or a certain thing, or like I have down here, sorry, have everything packed away a certain way, but down here I have bills of lading that you need to handwrite. And so if a client wants one that's not handwritten, which I've run into on the other side of the country, then this serves the purpose of writing out the bill of lading without
It
handwriting.
says Sears on it.
It is, yes.
How old is this?
I think this is mid 80s to early 90s. This is a Sears reissue of, I think, a Toshiba unit. But little.
So this is a little word processor.
Yeah, yep, it's a word
Can I turn it
processor.
on?
Of course. I might have thrown the batteries up because it sat for a hot second. But yeah, so I've got an extra cartridge here.
Scroll wheel.
Yeah, yeah.
So this isn't like heat transfer. There's a little
Little
head.
tape.
Okay, okay.
Yep. So these are cartridge tapes, and so it's I researched this model specifically, and I ordered this for the company because I can quickly swap out the tape when I'm on the road, and I don't have to fool with the ribbon. And then so it's a word processor.